Hello and welcome once again to Murfer's Music Reviews. And because this is our 8th episode, which is a bit special for us, we've decided to do something special for you. So we're going to review 8, well, not albums, but things. So, as you can see, we've got a few things behind us. There's a Slipknot album, a Rolling Stones album, and the Laserdisc for the movie Flashdance. They are 3 of the things we're going to cover, and yes, we will get to them all at some point throughout this video. I was going to say throughout this review, but there's 8 separate reviews. Now, to get the first few reviews out of the way, some people have suggested that the Murfer may be a puppet. I don't know where you get this idea from. No, I am a gorilla. However, somebody did spot there was a finger or a human thumb, actually, on my stomach last week, and they were suggesting that maybe someone is there and making me talk, but no. I will explain this, and what it was, you see, I usually wear board shorts, and the elastic had gone, and we'd gone to the trouble of setting up to film, and it turned out that, yeah, the elastic had gone, and I didn't want to just delay filming, and I didn't want to do it naked, so yeah, my good friend Simiana agreed to hold my shorts up for me for the episode. So yes, if you saw a thumb on my sort of chest area, no, lower than that, sort of stomach area, that's what that was. And yes, there are no, other than that, there's no humans involved in the making of this show. But on the subject of Simiana, she is in a band called the Quagaars, and so the first review, or the first 3 reviews actually, you see her band, the Quagaars, have just released their Moldy Trilogy, which is moldy, even moldier, and at their moldiest. And I can't really give these a sort of unbiased review, but people kept saying, Murphy, when are you going to review the Quagaars? When are you going to review the Quagaars? Even Simiana saying, it's going to be not fair because it's, I'm one of her best friends, so it's not going to be an unbiased review. So I'm going to just go ahead and say they all get 4 out of 4, opposable thumbs up, and those asking me to review the Quagaars, can you stop please? I mean, I am in half of their music videos, I've been on stage with them, so yeah, it's not really worth me reviewing it because I'm kind of an honorary member of the band at this point. So yeah, here's a few clips, and yeah, 4 out of 4 for those 3 albums. Something else people have been wondering about is my scoring system. So far everything has been given 4 out of 4, opposable thumbs up. Does this mean that every album I review is going to get that review? No, of course not. It's just a coincidence that the first few have all been given that particular score. I should stress that there is actually one higher than that, but there's only probably about 2 or 3 albums that have ever actually achieved it, and that is the Murf board. That's right, you can get all 4 opposable thumbs up and the Murph board, but so far there is George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, the Beatles' Rubber Soul, David Bowie's Low, and that really is about it. I nearly did give Glitterous the Murph board, but they broke up, and I was still dealing with that at the time of the review. So yeah, sorry about that, Glitterous. But yeah, you nearly got it was close. So to break down my scoring, yes, number 1 is the Murph board. Then it's 4 out of 4 opposable thumbs up, which is basically the greatest album of all time. But if it's just a little bit better, then yes, it gets the Murph board. Then there's 3 out of 4 opposable thumbs up, which just means that it's almost the perfect album, but not quite. It just doesn't quite make it. Maybe there's a bad song or 2 on there. Then there's 2 opposable thumbs up, which is basically just a great album, but maybe there was some dodgy choices as far as production goes, or maybe there's more bad songs, but still mostly good. And 1 opposable thumbs up just basically means it's a good album. So now we get to below the thumbs, to the ones that don't get any thumbs at all. So no thumbs, that basically means mediocre, average, boring album. And then when we get lower than that, then you'll start getting into, I don't know, horse shit on the beach or something like that. I've not really thought too much about that. I could probably get more views if I was doing the sort of edgy sort of thing where you go on about albums that you don't like, but that would mean I'd have to listen to those albums, and you're not going to get me to listen to those. But I did, however, by chance, hear the new Taylor Swift album, so I thought I'd give a quick review of that. I think it's called Tourtured Poets Department or something like that. I don't know. I was at the beach the other day and someone was playing it, and so I was having a picnic, and I just thought I'd have a bit of a listen, and I didn't think much of it, to be honest. But then I am, a bit older, so I thought I'd ask someone who's closer to Taylor Swift's age, because maybe he would have a better idea of what's going on than I have. So I've given it to Cousin Furphy to have a listen to, and we're now going to cut to Cousin Furphy for his live reaction to the new Taylor Swift album.
I was a functioning alcoholic till nobody noticed my new aesthetic. All of this to say, I hope you're okay, but you're the reason. And no one here is to blame. What about your quiet reason?
Yes, hello. Yes, I'm not sure how to explain this, but you see, you got Furphy to listen to the new Taylor Swift album, and he's just sort of he's just fallen asleep, really. He was about 1 song in, I think, and yeah, he appears to have gotten that bored he may actually fall into a coma. We'll maybe cross back to us a bit later, but I'm going to try and wake him up so that he can actually listen to the album, because I know you wanted him to give his honest opinion on it. But at the moment, yes, he is well into the land of Nod. So I'll try and wake him up, and you can cross back to us later. Well, thanks for the update, Sussex. You keep an eye on him. Make sure that, I don't know, that he's still breathing. We'll cut back to him later and just see what's going on. Hopefully he wakes up. But yeah. And then, anyway, on to the other albums that I am going to review. So, I'm going to start in 1967 with the Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesty Requests. At one point I did actually think about doing this album on its own, but the problem is that there's just not a lot of video for this album specifically. There's plenty of footage of the Stones, but not particularly from this album. It's generally not regarded as one of their better ones, but personally I really like it, and so I just wanted to, give it a bit more attention by doing a review. Obviously everybody knows who the Rolling Stones are, unless you're coming from another planet or something. so I'm just going to get right to it. But I am going to start a little bit before the album. That was when they released the single for We Love You and Dandelion. These are two of my favorite Rolling Stones songs of all time, and so yeah, we'll just have a quick clip of both of those.
Dandelion will make you wise. Tell me if she laughs or cries. Blow away, Dandelion.
Now that footage for Dandelion is not the official video. There was one. It was on YouTube a while ago, and when I went to find it to do the review, it's been taken down and replaced by one of those god-awful lyric videos where it's just sort of like a generic background and the lyrics come up. I could have used that, but I didn't want to. And in fact, they have done the whole Satanic Majesty album in that style. But I don't know. If I'm going to illustrate the album, I'd like to show footage of the band, or at least something more interesting than words appearing on the screen. So yeah, and also it would affect if I had to put words over it myself. That would, tell more of the story. So yeah. Anyway, on to the actual album, and it starts with "Sing This All Together."
Why don't we sing this song all together? Open our heads, let the pictures come. And if we close our eyes together, then we will see where we all come from. Pictures of us through the steaming haze. Pictures of us painted in our haze.
Now, people sort of look at the Rolling Stones as sort of the bad boys to the Beatles being the good guys, but they were both capable of being. The Beatles could do very dark stuff, and the Rolling Stones could do very light stuff, as you heard with both "We Love You" and "Dandelion" before this. And now there's this kind of happy sing-along sort of thing. And yeah, I think it's a really nice song, great way to start the album. We then move on to the next song, which is "Citadel," and that's sort of probably a bit more what you'd expect from the Stones, maybe a little bit more psychedelic. They were trying to compete with the Beatles, had just done Sgt. Pepper at that point. So they were trying to do something along those lines. I mean, if you look at the album cover, which is being held up by my good friend Mr. D in the background. Oh, I forgot to mention the album holders. I forgot last week as well. Last week's album holder was Glitterilla, and she was holding up the Glitters album. So yeah, this week we've got Mr. D holding up the Rolling Stones album, or Mr. Davidson, Harley Davidson. We've got Big Dick is back too. He is holding the Slipknot album. And yeah, Dick didn't win that game last week, but maybe next time. And yeah, that's for the people who were watching last week. And yeah, holding the laser disc of Flashdance, we've got Molly Mopkins, the singing Yeti, and back once again Lucifer. So yeah, that's that covered. And now back to the album. So yeah, Citadel is a bit more what you'd expect from the Stones, a bit more psychedelic, but yeah, still much more of has that Stones sort of feel to it. But this next song, what to say about it? If you think about the Rolling Stones, you've got Mick Jagger, who is an incredibly incredibly energetic and charismatic performer as the lead singer. Then you've got Keith Richards, who is also very charismatic in his own way, and sort of has this sort of drunken shambles kind of charm to him. And, they both generally do all of the singing. It's mostly Mick, but Keith generally gets one or two songs every now and then. Then obviously you have Charlie Watts on the drums, who was an amazing drummer. No one else plays like him. And at this point, they still had Brian Jones in the band, but Brian Jones at this point was, well, put it this way, if he was more fucked up than Keith Richards was on drugs, then he was probably not in much of a condition to do much of anything on this album. But he was there, and so yeah. But then there's Bill Wyman, and this next song, In Another Land, was written by Bill Wyman, and they let him sing it. And if you've not heard it before, then you haven't missed much. But if you've heard Bill Wyman's solo material, then even that probably won't give you much of an idea, but it will give you an idea of the fact that the man cannot sing. If you've seen any footage of him in the Rolling Stones, you'll know he has all of the charisma of, I don't know, a dead toad maybe. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but then he also, I think, got into some dodgy stuff with underage girls. In fact, he kind of hinted at that on his biggest solo hit, Je suis une rockstar.
We could go on the autograph across the water. They'll think I'm your dad and you're my daughter.
So yes, he's a bit of a dirty one, and he's used his fame as a member of the Rolling Stones to sort of build up his own solo career since leaving the band, or even when he was still in the band. And in fact, this one, In Another Land, was actually released as a single by Bill Wyman, even though it is on a Rolling Stones album. I don't really know why that happened. I mean, if you were trying to justify it, you could say that it sounds a bit like the sort of things that Syd Barrett was doing with Pink Floyd at the time, but it's very much a lesser version, and it just doesn't have the heart to it that Syd Barrett stuff does. So yeah, it's probably the weakest song on the album.
In another land, where the breeze and the trees and the flowers were blue, I stood and held your hand, and the grass grew high, and the feathers floated by. I stood and held your hand.
So let's just move on. And after that, there is 2000 Man.
Well, my name is a number of some plastic film, and I grow many flowers in my little windowsill. Don't you know I'm a 2000 man? And my kids, they just don't understand me at all.
Now, this is a pretty good song, but I don't feel the Stones ever really did it justice. That really didn't happen until 1979 when Kiss released their version, which was sung and arranged by Ace Frehley.
You know my wife still respects me, even though I really misuse her. I am having an affair with a random computer. Don't you know I'm a 2000 man? And my kids, they just don't understand me at all.
And yeah, I just think that Ace's version works that much better than the Stones version, unlike his covers of Hendrix that we talked about a few weeks ago. But yeah, I think his version is better. And then we go back to sing this song together with this rather unnecessarily long version of it, with sort of a really long percussion solo, which, if you're in the right mood, can be fun. You can just sort of sit there or lie down or however it is you like to listen to music. And yeah, just sort of go on this bit of an adventure before you get back into the main song. you're not in the right mood for it, it just kind of goes on and on and on and on. And yeah, it does get a bit dull after a while. But you know, it's still okay. Most of side 2 is pretty forgettable. There's a few good songs on there, but the best song on the album is on that side, sort of in the middle of this more sort of mediocre side of the album. Actually, I think it's the second track. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, one of my favourite Rolling Stones songs of all time, and it's not one that people generally talk about, but it's called 2,000 Light Years from Home.
Turning around with graceful motion, we're setting off with soft explosion, bound for a star-fiery ocean. It's so very lonely, you're 100 light years from home.
Now, I think this song is amazing, and it just sort of it proves that the Rolling Stones could be psychedelic and could be weird and out there and still sort of make it work. Whereas I think a lot of people look at the psychedelic era of the Stones as a bit of a misstep. But this song, it really sort of captures something that not really any of the other bands were doing in that psychedelic era. It certainly doesn't sound like anything else. It probably, if anything, sounds more like the sort of thing you might get from the BBC Radiophonic Workshop and people like Delia Derbyshire. It sounds sort of like something from a B movie, and I just think that that's really cool that they did something like that. It's so sort of out of place with what you'd expect from the Stones. But yeah, I love that song. And the other song on this side that's really good is She's a Rainbow.
Have you seen her all in gold, like a queen in days of old? She shoots colors all around, like a sunset going down. Have you seen the lady Sarah? She comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair, she's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air, everywhere. She comes in colors.
And that one, it's a lot more simple, but it's also just fun. And, we did talk about Paul McCartney a few weeks ago, and, he did have silly love songs, and that's exactly what this is. And when a silly love song is done well, like this, then it's a lot of fun and can be really enjoyed. But when you get a silly love song that's done badly, then yeah, it's probably the worst thing ever. But this one, I think it really works. But yeah, the rest of this side, I don't really recommend it too much. It's okay. If you're going to listen to the full album, it's fine, but I wouldn't sort of rate it up there as the Stones' greatest material ever. But because it does have some amazing moments on it, I'm going to give this album 3 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. Okay, let's check back in with Furphy now and see what's happening there. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Yes, I've tried to wake him up. I've done everything I can think of. I've tried jumping on him, I've tried shaking him, I've tried shouting, but so far no luck. yes, if you can think of something that might help wake Furphy up, then yes, much appreciated. But it appears that the Taylor Swift album was so boring that it has actually put him into what appears to be a coma. Hopefully it's not permanent. I've never seen this happen before. He's usually quite a light sleeper, so yes. Maybe I should have got someone else to do this review. So anyway, let's get on with the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is Flashdance. Now, Flashdance came out in 1983, and it was one of the biggest films in that year. And the soundtrack also did really well. It's got a lot of really great songs on it that I'm sure you all already know. And yeah, it's a good film. It's about a dancer who wants to sort of move away from being a sort of club dancer to moving into the world of ballet. And, it's all about her struggles, really, and how that she has to support herself by being a welder. And yeah, it's an interesting story, but there are a few things I want to bring up. For a start, the main character is supposed to be sort of very late teens, so like 19 years old, or very early 20s. And she gets into this relationship with her boss, who is 18 years older than her. And there's the power dynamic there, and just it's a bit creepy, and there's no real chemistry there. And that's something else I want to get to. So the character that's her best friend, who also works at the club with her, she's also in a relationship with this guy who wants to be a stand-up comedian. So there's two main romances in the film, and neither of them really work because they're just very different people. You've got Jeannie and Richie, and Jeannie is just this very lovely, lovable sort of character, and Richie is, well, I'm going to talk about him in a minute. And Alex, the main character, is with this guy that's just sort of, I don't know, it just feels like they shouldn't be together. And I think, if anything, Jeannie and Alex would have made much more sense getting together at the end, but I guess it was the 80s and they weren't going to have a lesbian couple at the end of the film. But that would have made more sense because they were the ones that had the chemistry, and it was beyond just them being friends. At least that's how I saw it, and how the family saw it when we watched it together. But the thing, yes, I wanted to address about the character of Richie is he does want to be a stand-up comedian, and at one point he does a comedy routine, and it's not aged well. I don't think it was even going to be that well received then. It's basically, he goes on about, well, have a look at this.
Did you hear about the Pollock who died drinking milk? The cow fell on him. It's just... there was a Polish terrorist. They sent him to blow up a car and he burned his lips on the exhaust pipe.
That is most of the routine. It is mostly just him making fun of Polish people. I don't know if there was some kind of war between Poland and the United States in 1983, but either way, it's not called for, all that sort of horrible racist jokes. And I guess people might say, oh, you better view it from the times, but this was 1983. The alternative comedy scene was already booming in the UK, and yeah, it's really just sort of only dinosaur comedians were still telling those kind of jokes in the 80s. So I think that, yeah, actually, I might throw over to the Pirate King for this one. Just bear with me. Arr, that scurvy racist dog. He should be walking the plank. Arr. In that particular case, I don't know who is actually walking the plank. Do we make the actor walk the plank? Because he didn't write those jokes, but at the same time he did say them. Or do we go with the writer or the director? I'm not entirely sure. So it's kind of an abstract concept of maybe just all racists need to walk the plank. I think that might make the world a better place. But other than that, it is a fun film to watch. There's lots of dancing and ice skating and good sort of 80s cheesy pop music. And yeah, it's just a fun film to watch with the family. And so I'm going to give it 2 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. Now, before we go on to Slipknot, I just think we should cut back to Furphy again, just to see what he's up to. Ming, 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 ming. Still asleep. I have an idea. Oh yes, yes. I don't know. I remember hearing some music, and then everything just sort of went dark. I'm not sure what happened. What I heard was rather dull, so maybe it's just sort of put me to sleep. But what you were playing there, that seems to have woken me up. Would you like me to review that one? No, it's okay, Furphy. I'll do the Slipknot review. You just get on with whatever it is you'd be doing right now, anyway. Okay then. Well, you talk about whatever that was. Some sort of new metal thingy. Yes, sorry about that. Yes. So yeah, I guess I should do the review for the Taylor Swift album then, because I did hear it. It gets 0 thumbs up. It's not bad. It's just mediocre, boring, and as you can see, it basically put Furphy into a coma that could only be broken by Slipknot. So yeah. So anyway, on to Slipknot, and we're going to talk about their album All Hope Is Gone. Now, I must admit, initially when I saw Slipknot, I thought that these were just a bunch of guys that had maybe grown up listening to too much Kiss and thought that they were going to take it to the next level. And in a way, that is true. They certainly have a lot of that sort of theatricality to them. But at the same time, they did also develop their own sort of style of music. Having 8 members in the band, initially I thought was a bit gimmicky, but then when you really listen to it, you hear what they're all doing, and there is a lot going on there. You got so many different rhythms happening, and they're all just very talented, especially the late Joey Jordison on the drums. He was incredible. The guitar playing is great too, and obviously you've got Corey Taylor, who I think has something like a 6.5 octave range. So, there's a lot of talent there, and I kind of regret that I didn't give them, the full attention that they deserved, or I didn't give them a full chance when they were sort of a new band. But I'm enjoying them now. And so we're going to talk about this album, and the song that really got me to listen to this album in the first place was one of the singles, which was Psychosocial. So I think something that Slipknot does that works really well for me personally is that you can listen to it when you're in a bad mood and it will make you feel better. You can sort of get your aggression out by listening to them sort of smash up their instruments instead of you smashing up your apartment or something. And yeah, I just think that in a way they're kind of providing a service there. I know that I've been in a really bad mood because of something that might have happened, and yeah, I've just sort of listened to this, and it's a way to let your emotions out. And I think that that's why metal music is so important. People sort of write it off because they think that, it sounds nasty or something like that. But I think that that's where metal can come in. It can really make you feel better by sort of letting you just sort of let it all out. It's kind of like having a good cry, except not. Another song on the album that I really like is called Gehenna.
I can finally be myself, 'cause I want to be myself. Free myself, give me you. I want it. Free myself, give me you. I want it.
Now, one thing with that one is that when I first heard it, I thought he was singing My Severed Eyes. And I've since found out it's Severed Heart, which I suppose makes more sense in a way, but it's kind of harder to sever a heart because it's internal, whereas eyes you can kind of I've heard of people having their eyes pulled out and things like that, which is pretty disgusting. But yeah, it's still, it seems like it'd be something that would be easier to do than to sever someone's heart. But I guess the idea is it's a breakup song. So yeah, it's it does make more sense in that way. But yeah, it's still, to me, every time I hear it, I think he's saying severed eyes. There's also Dead Memories.
Sitting in the dark, I can't forget. Even now I realize the time will never get. Another story of the bitter pills of fate. I can't go back again. I can't go back again. But you asked me to love you when I did. Trading my emotions for a contract to commit. And when I got away, I only got so far. The other me is dead. I hear a voice inside my head.
And this one, Sulphur. Last year when I was in England, we went through the town of Salford, and every time we saw the sign, we were just going, "Breathing in Salford." And then you have the ballad, which is Snuff.
So if you love me, let me go. And run away before I know. My heart is just too dark to care. I can't destroy what isn't there. Deliver me into my fate. If I'm alone, I cannot hate. I don't deserve to have you. My smile was taken long ago. If I can change, I hope I never know.
That's something that I'd probably more expect to hear from Corey Taylor's other band, Stone Sour. It doesn't really fit with what you'd expect from Slipknot, but I love the fact that they did it, because it is so different, and it sort of shows a different side of the band. The song Butcher's Hook is probably the weakest song on the album, just because I found it a bit repetitive, but otherwise it's okay.
I'm giving up again. Go ahead and disagree. I'm giving up again. Go ahead and disagree. I'm giving up again. Go ahead and disagree. I'm giving up again.
And yeah, the rest of the album is really, really good. So I'll probably give it 3 out of 4 opposable thumbs up. So I think that's it for our very special 8th episode. And wait a minute, I think that's only 7, isn't it? What else have I listened to recently? Oh, this one.
Got an itchy leg, got an itchy leg. Oh, what an itch on my leg, leg, leg. It's an itchy, itchy, itch on my leg, leg, leg. What can I do about this itch on my leg? It's an itch on my leg. Scratch your leg, you idiot! Stop singing. Scratch your leg.
Itchy Leg by Todd in the Shadows. Todd in the Shadows is a YouTuber and also a musician. I think he's incredible. Certainly very influential on my YouTube videos. But yes, he did do the song Itchy Leg. It was a response to the Lady Gaga song Telephone, where she kind of goes on about just a situation that could quite easily be solved. It's about her telephone ringing and it annoying her, and you could just answer the phone, and that would be the problem. That would problem solved. And so Todd wrote Itchy Leg to sort of parody that. And I actually think it's a much better song than the Lady Gaga Beyonce song, to be honest. It's probably better than anything Beyonce's ever recorded. And so yeah, that's 8 reviews in, I don't know, 40 minutes I've been filming for, so I don't know what I'm going to edit this down to, but yeah, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on how many clips I use. Also, I should probably mention that if YouTube do want me to cut things out of this video, because they often do for copyright reasons, you can go to VO, there'll be a link in the description, and that will tell you where you can see the video as Murfer intended. There's also going to be another Murph chat coming up at some point. We're going to try and make that a once-a-month thing, just so you can keep up with everything Murph related. We also, another Murph related thing, we now have Murphchandise. available in the form of t-shirts. You've seen the picture that the work's painted of me, and now behind me today we've got a new picture that he's done of the Pirate King, and you can get that on a shirt or on a mug or anything like that. That's at TeePublic, and there'll be a link in the description for that too. This has probably been my longest episode yet. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who's watched all the videos so far. I don't know where we're going with this, but we'll try not to bore you. Thank you for watching. I am the Murfer. This has been Murfer's Music Reviews.